energy that you can. I mean, from just being out, just from being in the public, even or for example, I can, as an engineer, if I'm doing front of house with somebody, I can get that energy too, where I'm I can be damn, I wish I had more to push.
That's a good example.
You know?
Alain has an aura to him. Alain has an aura that he carries around, that he brings to a stage, that he imparts the crowd with, that it feels crazy because.
But all the greatest artists.
But a lot of the people, you know what? Because there's people that have great music, but aren't great performances.
Yeah.
Like performers.
Yeah.
Jay-Z is one of them, for example.
He's not a great performer. Yeah.
He's not a great.
But he's still one of the greatest. So.
But the thing, he's one of the greatest, but he's not a great performer because he doesn't have that that hype energy, and also his music doesn't. But I mean, the majority of if you listen to for example, Niggas in Paris, for example, that requires a lot of energy, but
that's
I feel
that Kanye aggression energy.
Yeah, but that's not Jay.
He has that aura on stage. On stage,
yeah. But Jay doesn't. Jay is more chill in a way. He's more mature. He's very Denzel Washington right? Yeah. When he compares himself very mature, and he's he can be one of these
Miles
guys.
had though. Miles had a very chill, mature, calm thing, but it was still an aura. It was still something you were watching him, no matter how much he was disrespecting the crowd by turning his back or pretending he didn't feel like being there. There was still something that made you watch. Mm-hmm. So it's not necessarily one thing or the other. A lot of people embody that.
No, I don't mind watching Jay-Z. I'm saying Jay-Z is just, I maybe wished a little bit. I think if he came with more energy in that sense, then maybe it would be one of those things where, damn, I'm itching for more Jay-Z. Give me another 2 hours. That
I feel like that's what people overestimate about Hector Lavoe. Not to go back and beat a dead horse, but he was such a good performer, right? Because he had such a good charisma.
Yeah, and he was like a jokester also on stage and stuff. But he was not. I feel like he was not if you go back and you look at Mark Anthony and MSG running across the stage, he never did that, for example. But then he had his special kind of energy, right? Mm-hmm. That made people kind of freeze and just look at him.
Mark.
No, Hector.
Yeah, both of them in their own way, but for sure Hector had charisma hand over fist more than on.
And that's why he still comes up as one of those guys, right?
Sí. Charisma counts for a lot.
Sí, tú hablaste algo de la obra de Alain o de Moore cuando están en desde. Yo pienso que el dominio, número uno, I think.
La seguridad.
Yeah, that dominance of the stage, but also, and obviously confidence is the number one sexually attractive thing to anyone in the world. No matter what level, that doesn't have to do with being extrovert or introvert. Mm-hmm. If you're self-confident at whatever personality or temperament you have, you're an attractive person. Y entonces, por ejemplo, you could be a painter that says nothing and it's socially very awkward, but if you're actually very confident about your work, while you're doing your thing, you can be the sexiest person alive.
Back to Alain, just not to go back to him, part of what makes him so incredible on stage is that he can get behind almost any instrument. Mm-hmm. And I think the men know that, the women know that. The man can grab the piano, bass, guitar, percussion, whatever, and direct the band. And something about that is what makes him attractive, sort of like what made Prince attractive. It's something that has nothing, a completely non-physical thing.
Or even Michael Jackson.
People.
Later in his career.
Sí, loco.
Michael Jackson is
MJ was always a sex symbol. He was the number one sex symbol in the world. He was.
Was he a sex symbol though? You think?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Women were fainting in stadiums, being carried away in ambulances. People were crying
But which
he
Michael
was
Jackson
a dancer and
let's be real.
You remember
the Black MJ,
Black MJ, White MJ,
Thriller MJ,
and late Invincible.
Because
he was the greatest dancer / he was the king of pop.
I can say that Black MJ was probably the most attractive MJ there was.
For sure, but
it depends. Because there's some girls that
they will disagree, of course.
That they will say the white one.
I don't know.
Which
that's
is
crazy how we're comparing one
Murphy,
person.
Black and white, not black and white. It's remember the time.
Remember the time. Yeah, that's a great
women
Michael.
will go crazy for that.
Dangerous. The album Dangerous.
Was that right in the middle?
90s.
That's like 90s.
Oh, okay.
And he was the king.
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy was another sex symbol. Yeah. He was the first comedic sex symbol, actually.
With that red suit.
Yeah, the red suit, the raw, delirious.
And Eddie's a pretty normal guy. He's just amazing at what he did.
And he's
incredibly confident.
Funny. Incredibly
because look at
extremely confident.
Yeah.
Chappelle
at a young age.
But Dave didn't exude confidence in his early stage.
None of them are sex symbols. Richard Pryor, Dave Chappelle, all of them
But
are great.
still, they-
But
Actually-
Eddie Murphy became a sex icon. Like he became in those. Well, I've heard that all over like
But
comedic
bro,
history.
Adam Sandler's a low-key sex icon.
Hey, ¿te gusta el contenido que estás viendo? ¿Te gustaría mantenerte al día con todo lo que está pasando? Pues te invito a que te suscribas a mi canal. Simplemente oprime la campanita para recibir notificaciones cada vez que publiquemos nuevo contenido. Ahora, de vuelta a la conversación.
Come on.
In his own way.
I'm
In
not
his own
lying.
way.
dude.
In his own way. Yo, in his own way. In his
You
own
know-
way.
In
you
his
know
own
what?
way.
But
In his
it's-
own way.
it's-
Sex icon? I don't
It's
know.
more about personality with Adam Sandler, because that's the point. Like, he exudes that I'm funny, but I'm cute kind of way. Like, it's not of like,
There's
I'm funny and I'm gonna make fun of all of you, and if you like it, then you're with my
Yeah,
team.
there's a
I love Dave
power
Chappelle.
about him. Yeah.
You know? Like, Sandler was like the low-key.
Oh, I
it
love
doesn't-
that point I stepped on there, but that was good.
She hates Dave Chappelle.
Wow.
I don't
That-
hate-
No. But that was a good
Okay,
point.
okay.
No, that I didn't
Okay,
get that
okay.
you hate Dave Chappelle, but I
I
understand.
don't
the
hate
point.
Dave Chappelle.
Why do you
there's
hate
a-
Dave Chappelle?
No,
Currently, let's talk
no.
about-
Wait. Don't jump.
No,
You're
no,
there's a
that's-
contrast between Adam Sandler and Dave Chappelle. They're completely
different things,
contrasting
it's like-
people.
There's
Actually,
just
from
different-
Yeah, the only difference
There's
is that
just
she hates one.
No, Adam doesn't need to own the room. Adam doesn't
I'm
need to
just
own
kidding.
the room.
You know what the thing is? For Adam Sandler is like, again, he is the low-key funny comedian that will do the very romantic movies. And will basically stay right
that's
in the
what it
middle
is.
of me being funny, but not being as offensive and like I will just make fun of anything.
Oh, so he's got more money than all of them.
So in,
Oh,
in
Because
terms,
like he was
yeah.
very smart, and then he basically kept that thing. Or even if you don't know him as a
Alright.
comedian, then you know him for these incredibly
star, yeah.
famous
So-
and like.
my question to women would be like, for example, what in terms of like artists or overall, like, you know, just overall in the industry, whatever, what's something about a certain performer that would like you'll be like for example, Dave Chappelle, you don't like Dave Chappelle for a certain
I
reason.
like
But
Dave
wait,
Chappelle.
wait, I'm saying
Don't take
that
it
what would be
personal.
what would be something that like turns you off or like be like I don't want to give him a second chance musically or anything that has to do with the
Artist,
yeah.
music. Because we went into
Like,
comedy.
with-
We were talking about
Yeah,
music.
but
yeah.
with women, I think it's different because women can easily shut that down really, really fast.
Facts.
You
And
think?
and the person can be extremely attractive.
I think what you're saying is like what we were talking about earlier before we started recording, that men will choose the sexually attractive characteristics first, second, and third, and also will make excuses for a lot of things if you exceed a certain number.
like thresholds, yeah.
Yeah, a certain threshold,
Compressors.
we start to
Yeah.
forget things.
Ratios.
We start to get really blind about things,
Games.
and women don't necessarily do that as much as we do.
I mean, for
That-
me, to
God,
be
that's such a
honest,
vague topic. Why did I leave you
no,
there?
you're
No, it's fine.
But
Speak
no,
your mind, bro.
so for example, the first things that Marcos showed me about Dave
Ooh.
Chappelle,
Oh,
they
so-
were about the Dave Chappelle show, right?
I thought you were talking about
Like
Marcos.
years ago, John Mayer shit. So basically, like that
They're
douchebaggy.
racially.
Wait, douchebaggy.
Charged.
That's amazing. Like I wasn't
No, that's
douchebaggy
wild.
at all.
It
That's
was
wild.
wild. It was wild. It was great. It's amazing.
You know, like that was
But-
my first like thing about Dave Chappelle, right?
we
jump-
grew up with that.
Jump
Yeah.
to now,
I did.
like within the pandemic when he started doing these pop-up, like comedic, like.
What's more is more of like politically kind of
Exactly.
stuff like that he's
But
doing now.
here,
Yeah.
I
He's gonna
actually
message.
saw, and that, and when they gave him the award, the whole ceremony.
Oh, the Kennedy Center. Yeah.
So when I saw that, like that moment, and I started to hear, basically his whole career through his own voice, you know, and what he like for real went through, and what was going on behind the scenes, and how he rose to the occasion in multiple, like lately in the last 3 things that he did, and basically called out Comedy Central, HB, and did this whole thing
You
of
dug
like,
the courage.
yes, and he basically just exuded that, hey, this is who I was. That I did, but I wasn't even getting paid for it. That was like a struggle thing, and I decided to leave it. Now I'm here. This is what it is.
But that's it, though. Like, I
But
think
that's
you
it's
hit it.
something I respect.
Courage is always the first virtue that
And
women will
as
look
a
for.
musician, that is the thing that we have to have if we even want to be part of this thing. We have to exude some type of
Confidence,
courage.
yeah.
Courage is the best virtue.
It's not
I
even
think,
about
which is what
confidence
makes-
because
You know
we're
what I'm
scared
saying?
out of our asses on stage. It's not
I know.
even about being 100%
But even when
confident.
when
but
we're
it's,
shaking inside, we still people can't
that's
tell.
courage.
But it's still mixed with confidence. Though.
It is.
You're growing your confidence.
No,
as
wait.
you're doing that.
Confidence is knowing I'm gonna nail this. Courage is saying, I think I'm gonna nail this.
But I'm here anyway,
Yeah.
you know? And it's just a thing of that shit may have not worked for Dave Chappelle.
Mm-hmm.
Shit may have actually backfired for him, but he had the courage to do that. And from then on, I actually started going back to his material and the things that he was talking about, and you can actually see it underneath. But if you don't know the story, you have no idea who the guy is. And again, if he's just hanging out
That's
with a
how looking
20-something-year-old
at
John
things
Mayer.
with retrospect that you don't realize the courage that
John
it took
Mayer
him to write those sketches.
Hey.
Just because you're looking at it in retrospect, which is fine. It's just the way we feel about I don't know, Ronnie Dangerfield or whatever. It's just in this case, holy cow, that was sexist. But in his era, it was courageous
okay.
or it was whatever. He was pushing boundaries, and I think we always have to respect the era and how things look differently as we move forward, and we always have to be willing to move
that's
forward
also
but
something
respect the
that
past.
has to be really, really carefully thought about, like that whole era thing and how people lived back then. Like if you defend that today, you're looked as a supporter of that, even though it happened back then. So
I think it's
like,
encapsulated in
that is-
respect what that was and what it needed to be based on what was before it.
exactly.
Well,
But-
here's one thing that Dave said at that award show. He said, there are comedians that I know that are bona fide racists. And they will say racist stuff on stage, and people will be laughing. They will be killing it. And I'll be like, that guy means that. But I will either have a drink with them backstage and actually admire the amazing artistry with which they paint their racist thoughts with. For a black comedian that is so sound sociologically, to say that is very admirable, because he says, I'm able to separate my race from my art form. And then he said, I'm talking about the art form, I'm not talking about the content. The content of the art might be messed up, but the artistry can be respected.
Totally. We just can't expect the average black man or woman to make those sort of like aerobic
Assessments.
jumps and leaps
Yes,
and
absolutely.
So,
contorts.
¿qué voy a decir
Yeah,
esto?
absolutely.
Pero we can do the same with Bad Bunny.
Absolutely. That was okay.
We have to name
Jesus
it.
Lopez,
It's a separate
every
episode. We have to
episode.
name it.
You
Every
pissed
It wasn't
Jeremy
me,
off. You
though.
finally
It
did
wasn't me.
episode. What I'm saying.
Cheers.
It's a
What I'm
drinking
saying
game.
is-
Cheers to breaking
Cheers
him.
to that.
You broke me, bro.
Hola familia, si quieres ver el resto de este video te invito a que te unas a la ganga de Patreon. Allá vas a poder tener acceso a cambio de tu suscripción de tan solo $5 al mes de contenido online exclusivo, llamadas por Zoom, descuentos para mercancía, quizás hasta VIP y backstage passes para el soundcheck y hablar con los músicos después de nuestros shows en vivo, entre muchísimas otras cosas. Así que muchas veces nosotros nos suscribimos a cosas que ni siquiera usamos, a gimnasios que no vamos. ¿No sería mucho mejor suscribirte y apoyar la música de un artista que sigues y que amas? Bueno, una vez más y de adelanto, te doy las gracias por ver este video en YouTube y por unirte a nuestra familia de Patreon. Nos vemos por allá.